believe that the school library should, if not definitely one of the most important areas where students feel comfortable to go to, very accessible to staff and students, and even the general geographical area of a library should be kind of in the center of the school, which is the case of our library. To go about change such as we've done with this library takes cooperation from all levels, and from the upper echelons of the school board, which came forward with an idea, to wonderful consultants that were giving us their expertise on if you are going to go about some changes in the library and maybe bring it towards the 21st century type area that you'd like to have for students. And in our case, obviously, our librarian, she's fabulous. She's cares so much about her students, and all the students, and especially the ones who the library is their home in this school, and is very easy to work with. So I do feel that a project such as this one only happens when all those partners are working together. We have a special situation here where this building is over 110 years old, and when it was built, the needs of what a high school is today are much different than they were obviously 100 years ago. There are classes here that still have fireplaces in them, and that's how they were heating at the time that they started actually being a high school, which it always has been on this campus. So this room is actually where we meet on meetings with staff and after school or on ped days. So it is a common place for everyone. We don't have a boardroom in this school. We don't have an area where staff can meet and projects or whatever we do here. So it's not just the students that have seen the changes that we've made, but also staff. So everybody's ecstatic. I had suggested that it would be nice, knowing our ceilings are fairly high here, again from the age of the building, that you know how you see those libraries that seem to be maybe disappearing, I don't know, but where you see ladders that are going up to the books. And it turns out that there was some fundraising, believe it or not, by the local football community, and we had a football team, and it didn't quite work out, and they were willing to donate to the library if we could use they could use some of our equipment. But of course, it gives it an old school feel again in this multimedia type library. And our third phase is the lighting and looking even more multimedia, where PowerPoint screen would be put in here. There was a quote by Dr. Zeus here: we'll have an ex-student that's going to come back on our own time to put it back there. And in the back there, you can see is where we have an area of more very, very traditional looking library. It's 100 years old, obviously, and we didn't do any changes to that part of the building, to that part of this room. So our final state, you will see where we wanted to go from the beginning right to the end. We could not have a library sitting in 2016 that students wouldn't have access to the latest technology, which we feel we have. And then the room that is behind also can be used during class time for our resource students, for our special needs students, or just for different students doing projects. So the multimedia aspect of a library that is needed today was certainly not as present, or hardly present, at what it should be. So with the Chromebooks and the iPads, and obviously the stations where children can do research, children can work in here, and we're very flexible as far as schedules are concerned for the students. That has always been the case, but now that we have this more open space, more workable space that teachers can come with their class, it is much more feasible for students who probably didn't come to the library because it was, a little more bulky, and even the books to access them was a little further in the room. That's not the case anymore. So, and I believe that we see it already. When I come in, I see more students in here during recess and lunch than I ever have in the past, and that's because I think that they've seen what's being offered here and now want to be here and sometimes just for leisure purposes and other times for research. And we've had students ask if they could stay after school in the library. We've had students say, is it possible it could be open on the weekend? So it really has been a change in the attitude of students. And what I want to go on are the students who weren't, who go into the library wasn't necessarily part of their regular day, and now that's the case for many students. Just the open concept of it, and the fact that you can come here and actually create stations where you have traditional teamwork working at a table such as this, but you have students, if they're in an English class where they need to be doing book reports or so on and so forth, the stimulation that you can to actually go and take a look at what we have to offer with our librarian, making sure that they are at the cutting edge of what would be interesting as far as books are concerned, because I still hold dearly that students read books and not always on their devices and so on and so forth, even though we are a bring your own device school. Add to that all the access to research, access to information with the multimedia aspect of the library, and we still kept little nicks and crannies where students can feel that maybe I could say old school library feel, where it's a little more comfortable, and sitting on a couch and curling up to a book is still possible to do here. So I think we've created kind of the best of old and new. And yes, it's certainly the teachers want to come here more often, and obviously pedagogically has shown that it's much more useful to the students and used by everyone in the right way. First of all, I think that if that opportunity knocks in any school, regardless of the age of the library or any real reasons, go for it. You really need to look at making sure that your library is such a huge part of your school. And especially when there's a lot of individual learning happening when you're working with technology, to have areas, common areas where teachers can bring their students, can work because of the larger size with team teaching in 2 classes, making sure that you're always working with your librarian and her knowledge in helping the pedagogy of the school is so important. And to go about it for the physical space part, which is obviously the part that costs a bit of money, through grants and through fundraising and through the community, it is of utmost importance, because it is still a place that will unite the staff and the students, and also I think keeping in touch with learning in the past and learning in the future, and making sure that we keep that connected.